Welcome back to the Maybe Yes Sir podcast. Today we welcome Michael Brennan, a rising star in golf, currently playing PGA Tour Americas. He is seventh in the Fortinet Cup standings with three top five finishes and six starts. Hailing from Leesburg, Virginia, Michael had a standout collegiate career at Wake Forest University, tied for third in school history with 8 individual titles, including back-to-back ACC championships. Michael Brennan, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Where in the country are you tonight?
I am back home where I grew up in Leesburg, Virginia.
Okay, so do you guys have the heat wave going on there right now?
Oh my gosh, today was I just got back from St. Louis. I was there for the last week and
Yeah,
it was really hot out there. And then I come home thinking maybe it's going to be a little cooler. And my car was reading 100
yeah,
into late into the evening today, reading 100. It was beyond hot.
yeah. No kidding. So I guess next week you'll pack up and head to New Brunswick, Canada, for the first leg of the Canadian swing, right?
Yeah, playing right now. My flight's on Monday, so I'll get in
Okay,
on I think the 1st of July on Monday. But
cool,
very excited about it. Um, it'll be great.
awesome. We'll get into more of the upcoming year on PGA Tour Americas, but I'm curious, how did you get introduced to golf?
So my dad played a lot of golf. He never played professionally, but always loved playing. And like he was a plus probably 2 or 3 handicap in his
Okay,
prime. Would play in our
yeah,
like state ams, state opens, that sort of thing. But just loved golf. And so there are pictures of me when I'm a little kid and like can't even swing a club. He would just take me to the range so he could practice, and I would just kind of sit and watch. I guess that's
yeah.
before I could remember. But I mean, I've always had a club in my hand, whether it was around the house swinging or I'd go play with him, go hit
Mhm.
balls in the range with him, and he really got me into the game. And it's grown into a kind of a family endeavor now. I've got a younger brother. He's a rising senior at Kentucky, University of Kentucky.
Okay,
He plays golf and he's pretty good. He was, probably graduated high school as like a +1, +2, doesn't play as
yeah.
much in college now. But my mom plays as well. She's actually a volunteer rules official. She's down in Pinehurst doing the North South Amateur. Um,
Oh, right on.
and so, really, I guess what I'm trying to say, the whole family plays golf,
Yeah,
but my dad really got me into the game, and he was my coach until I was about 12 years old.
awesome. What other sports did you play growing up?
I played everything. My parents thought it was important for me to try everything. Even in kindergarten and first grade, I would always write on school papers that it was my goal to play professional golf. I felt like I played basketball throughout high school as well, and I felt
Okay.
like when it was basketball season, or I played a couple years of football, played baseball, but particularly basketball. Whenever it was basketball season, if you asked me in middle school, I might say, "Oh, basketball is my favorite sport." But whenever golf season rolled around and it got warm back here in Leesburg, I was all in on the golf. But I played just about everything. Played soccer, baseball, lacrosse, basketball, football, golf, but stuck with basketball into high school, and then after that, I was done.
Yeah, like watching your swing and watching you in person, obviously like a very athletic move and a natural swing. And I was going to ask you about lacrosse because I know in Virginia, it's like they produce a lot of lacrosse players, right? And to me,
hmm
it always seemed like lacrosse would be like a natural transition to golf in terms of like generating speed and separation in the golf swing. So I'm curious as to your lacrosse background.
Yeah, that would make a whole lot of sense. And lacrosse is big in the Virginia, Maryland, DMV area,
Yeah.
very big. But I think I played lacrosse until like first or second grade. So
Okay.
I don't really have much for you. I mean, it makes sense in theory, but I have no experience with that. I never took it seriously or anything.
Yeah. So then after high school and a tremendous junior career, you decided to go to Wake Forest. And I was going to ask you why Wake Forest. And then I started looking into the Arnold Palmer Golf Complex at Wake Forest and your guys' facility. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I bet if Michael went there once, he probably signed after the first visit. But I'm sure there was, University of Texas, Tennessee, everybody was trying to recruit you. I'm just curious how you ended up choosing Wake Forest.
Yeah. My dad didn't go to college. My mom went to a really small D2 school in called Florida Southern in Florida. I
Yeah.
really grew up with no university ties. I know a lot of kids, have parents went to a big school and grew up, a Bama fan or a Tennessee fan or UVA fan, but I didn't have that. So when it came down for recruitment for me, I was really open to kind of checking out everything. Visited mostly schools that I could drive to.
Hmm.
As a high school kid, the thought of flying to a school didn't really appeal to me very much. I was like, how am I going to get stuff to move in. I don't know.
Right.
It just didn't make sense. So I visited a lot of schools that I could drive to. Even went and visited the Naval Academy, and that was a really, really cool visit. That school is beautiful. But it kind of came down to my top three would have been Wake Forest, Vanderbilt, and Clemson. And I really got along with all of those coaches, but Jerry Haas at Wake Forest, I just felt a really great connection immediately. I mean, the campus is very pretty. It's smaller. We've got like 5,500 undergrad, which I
Yeah.
like the sound of that. We had some pretty high level, like Division One athletics. For
Yep.
being such a small school, our facilities on campus, which is hard to beat. I mean, our freshman year dorms it's maybe a 250-yard walk from the dorms to the facility. And so
Unreal.
we're very lucky to have such a great space on campus because most other places like Vanderbilt's a great school, Nashville is a cool city, but it's a 30-minute plus drive to their facility from school. I really liked the convenience of that at Wake Forest. When I was being recruited, Coach Haas would drive me around campus in a little golf cart, and he said hi to everybody. It seemed like he knew everybody on campus, and I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Knew every faculty, and I would say hi to a lot of the kids, and my time at Wake Forest just confirmed that. I mean, Coach Haas is really awesome, and I'm so glad I went to Wake.
Yeah, and you got to play Old Town course, obviously, right? That was your home course, which is like
Oh my
right on campus too.
Yeah, it's amazing. So the Old Town Club, it borders campus.
Okay.
You could hit a probably a pitching wedge from our main tee on our driving range. If you just hit it backwards in the other direction of the range, you'd be hitting it onto the 12th hole at Old Town.
Unreal.
And so we actually opened a gate while I was at Wake where you could walk out onto, but you could also drive, and it would take 3 minutes to get, from Wake Forest to the gates of Old Town, or the entrance, which was just so convenient because in college you're really pretty busy, like whether you're dealing with school or papers or during midterms and finals, especially busy trying to study and cram all that in, and then you travel for events, you miss school, you got makeup work, and then you get back and you're asked to qualify to select the best lineup to go to the next event, and just everything being right there for us in Winston-Salem was huge because I couldn't imagine trying to go to class, finish an 11 to 12:15, and then you've got a 1:30 tea time. You're supposed to try to fit a lunch in there, and plus a couple minutes to drive there, some warm up time.
Yeah.
It's really it's quick, and you learn to deal with that and just on a short warm up go and peg it and do as good as you can. But
Yeah.
just being so convenient at Wake Forest was huge.
Yeah, for sure. And you alluded to the academic part, and I see that you're all AC academic, all academic team. What did you major in at Wake Forest?
I was an econ major.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's not part of the business school. Their business school at Wake is pretty legit, pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I think by the time when I was being recruited at first, like freshman, sophomore year of high school, I went to a STEM high school here in Leesburg called the Academies of Loudon, and I took a bunch of different like engineering and higher level math and science classes, and I really liked that. And so at first, I kind of thought that was going to be my path and what I was going to study in school. But talking to different coaches, I realized that was going to be a really tough task trying to marry golf and an engineering degree or something of that sort.
Hmm.
So by the time I got later in my high school career, I realized that maybe I'm okay at golf, and I really want to make this a legit career. And
Yeah.
for me, I felt like taking economics was kind of a good blend of getting a good education, but also having the ability to miss some class and leave for events. And econ is kind of a topic where I feel like if you understand it, it's pretty easy to understand. You could learn it from just about anywhere. I had some great professors at Wake that definitely made it easier,
Yeah.
but I felt like it was a really easy to learn on the road and deal with all the travel and stuff like that. So econ major, want to be engineer, but econ, yeah,
Good for you.
yeah.
That's ambitious for sure. So when you get to Wake Forest and you're starting out as a freshman, was there a point where there's a teammate or somebody that you played against that was like, okay, if I want to take my game to the next level, I kind of got to do what this guy is doing or that guy is doing? Any point in your early college career where that happened?
Yeah, I mean, I had some really great teammates that I was lucky to have early my freshman year. Two guys, I guess three guys to point out. Alex Fitzpatrick, Matt
Yep.
Fitzpatrick's younger brother, he was a
Mm-hmm.
junior when I came in my freshman year, and he was kind of, for me, the gold standard. I felt like I compared myself to how he did, and I think that's kind of just it was just a natural thing. He was our best player on the team. We also had a kid who was a year above me, Mark Power from Ireland, who had a really stellar breakout freshman year. He was a low individual at Eastlake when our team played there because we had played nice at nationals the year prior. He had won the individual there, but Alex was really pretty polished, and I think a lot of that definitely comes from having the family experience, and
Yeah,
he had learned. He was definitely an advanced golfer for his age, being 20 years old or 21, whatever he was when I first came into school, and I try to learn a lot from him. There were definitely things that I learn, and even now, I just a few months ago, I gave him a call, or we were sending text back and forth about I was interested like how he worked with distance wedges and stuff like that, and what his process was for that, and how he does that. And it's really cool to learn from someone like that. But
for sure.
Alex is a wizard around the greens. I think anywhere
Okay.
inside of 100 yards, he's a pretty good putter too, but his wedges and chipping were, I mean, it's some of the best I've ever seen. And so it was cool to just kind of be around him and be able to pick up a little thing or here or there. But yeah, it's great going to a school that's pretty competitive because you're able to really compare your game to some of the other elite players and in the amateur ranks, and I was very fortunate.
You had some early success, notably the Genesis Invitational that you kind of got on my radar with that win. What was that? That was your sophomore year, so
My sophomore year. Yep.
2022 or
22. Yeah, spring of
22.
22.
Was that your most
Yep.
rewarding college win?
No, no. I would say it was an amazing experience and the opportunity that our coaches and donors at Wake Forest like gave me and Mark and Alex. The three of us went for a couple years in a row to try to
Yeah.
qualify for that was amazing. But it's just a one day shootout, and I'm very very fortunate. I was able to play great one year and play in the tournament because I gained a ton of experience from that. But my sophomore year, later that spring in 2022, we won the ACC championship as a team. And that was my biggest team win while I was at Wake Forest. And although winning as an individual is great and rewarding, and that's ultimately the game that I play now,
Yeah.
an individual game, winning as a team it means so much more because you got to rely on everyone else. And as golfers, I think that we often can be frustrated by that because we're so used to, kind of doing it our own way and just relying, your success and failure is purely how you play. But I felt like I really got along well with all the guys on our team and some really good friends. And when you go to workouts every morning and, practice together and I mean, you're getting meals and hanging out on the weekends,
Yeah.
doing everything together, and be able to share in a victory like that was really really cool. And that was Coach Jerry Haas at Wake Forest. That was his first ACC championship, which
No
made
way.
it that much more special. Yeah, and
Wow.
I feel very lucky to be part of that team to help give him that win. But yeah, my most rewarding victory at school was definitely our team victory, ACC's my sophomore year.
Awesome. Your senior year, you end up finishing 12th in PGA Tour University standings,
Mhm.
which catapulted you to PGA Tour Americas last year. What was the biggest difference going from collegiate to tour golf per se?
Yeah, I think that I guess two things jump to mind immediately. The first would be change in schedule. When you're playing in college tournaments, they're typically like a Monday Tuesday or a Sunday Monday type thing. And so you'll get out to the tournament a day, maybe two ahead of time. You'll play with your team and your coaches in a practice round. You'll play all 18 holes, let's say on Sunday.
Yeah.
And typically those practice rounds are long. They'll take 6 hours pretty regularly. And so those can get kind of long and a little brutal, but it's fun to be there with your teammates, just kind of hanging out when things get boring or if you're waiting. But then you'll play a lot of tournaments will be 36 the first day of competition and then 18 on the second day. So that
Right.
36 whole day, you're getting up at 5 a.m. and you're not getting back to your hotel until 8 8 p.m. You're
Yeah.
gone the entire day. And when you're done, you're exhausted. You're going to have a morning tee time the next morning because you're going to fly home, presumably that evening. So you play in the morning and then you fly home and then you're done. And so there's really not a lot of downtime when you're playing in college events. you're very busy. And the busyness is, it's good because it's, quick and you're going to miss less school if you kind of keep things compact, but it makes other activities like, I don't know, working out or hanging out or going to see cool things in the area makes it hard. But then when you get to professional golf, I'll travel on a Sunday night or Monday morning to a tournament, and you have 3 entire days to prep for the tournament instead of
Right.
just a day or half a day. And so that's like its own challenge, trying to make sure that if you keep that same college schedule and you jam pack the entire day, it can get pretty tiring. And there's a learning curve to being able to blend practice and making sure you're prepared for the tournament. Because if you just say, "Oh, I'm gonna, take it easy, I want to be well rested," but if your game's not sharp, you could be rested and shoot 73, and that doesn't do you any good. So there's definitely a blend of trying to conserve energy and make sure you're prepared to play on the weekend, but also be ready to start on Thursday and not have to try to find things, as the week goes on. So definitely time management Monday through Wednesday, I think, is the most important thing. Once tournament time comes around, it's the tournaments are longer. 4 days
Yeah.
of golf is a lot, and being able to pace yourself and understand that one round is, in my head, I like to think I'm running a mile around a track, and I'm,
Hmm.
after the first round, I'm only one lap done. And to me,
Right.
that seems way, way smaller than one round of golf does. And
Yeah.
I don't know, that's kind of how I rationalize it in my head. And so
Yeah.
when I try to tell myself that, and, if I have a poor, mediocre first round, it's like, we're only one lap around. I can only be so far back. I still have 3 more to go. So that's definitely a difference. And then the second, I would say, is at our level, at least, the courses are a lot different. In college,
Hmm.
we'd play really exceptional golf courses, like some of the toughest, best courses in the country. I mean, we hosted a tournament at Pinehurst Number Two every year. We'd go play Colonial and the Ben Hogan every year, where they play the tour event. We'd go play Calusa
Right.
Pines in Naples, which is one of the hardest courses in Florida, one of the hardest courses ever that I've played a tournament at Sahali in Seattle where they had a
Yeah.
PGA championship. I mean, we play some
Hmm.
really, really tough and amazing golf courses. And so finishing around and shooting 3 under, most of the time is a really, really, that's a solid score. And then you get out to the Americas tour or even the Corn Ferry tour. And most places you go, I mean, you see the scores, they're so low,
Yeah.
and for me, I was a little unprepared for that when I first played. I made my first cut in Victoria last summer, but
Hmm.
I finished 60 something of 60 something. I made the cut basically on the number and kind of didn't do anything on the weekend. And then I missed my second cut in Edmonton the week after. And I was probably a little overwhelmed by the scores that these guys were shooting. I was like, holy smokes, it's a little different, but I think most of it is just a comfort level, and it's not so much a huge difference in skill, but you just have to be comfortable, turning it 5 under and
Hmm.
understanding that you have to go, shoot a couple more on the back. And it's, you can never feel like you're just trying to hold on, because for me, I feel like that's when I make my least committed swings and hit poor shots. And, then all
Yeah.
of a sudden you finish at 4 under, and, you had a great start, but you're not moving up the leaderboard very well. So yeah, I would say biggest difference is just managing your time on weekends, knowing when to practice and when to grind and feel like you're trying to get your game ready, and then understanding that you got to go make birdies.
Yeah, and a good example of that is my home city, Winnipeg, the Manitoba Open last year. He finished top 10 at 20 under, and I think Johnny Kiefer won. What did he finish that week at? Like 26 or 27, I
Yeah,
think.
he was
Like,
yeah, certainly mid 20s. I
yeah.
played decent out there. And the crazy thing is sometimes you go to some of these courses, like that week in particular, the practice rounds, it was kind of windy.
Hmm.
Greens were a little firm. And I got there and I was like, oh, finally, like we're going to have a bigger test this week. Scores aren't going to
Yeah.
be crazy low. But then you get a little rain and wind
No.
kind of died on the week, and all of a sudden the cut's still 7 under or whatever. It was something like that. And
Hmm.
I'm thankful to have played well that week, but it's like holy smokes. And the other thing I've realized is if a course is wet, if there's rain, unless the rough is 4 to 6 inches long, you're just going to shoot under par. Like
Yeah.
there's only so much a course can do, put the pins in tough spots. Like even on the Americas tour, there's some really, really good players, and
Oh,
guys are just going to go low and shoot good numbers. So you just kind of got to be ready for anything. and
Yeah.
go get it.
Yeah, you guys are too good. That's the problem. These courses, especially the one in my hometown, it's set up, like you said, it's designed and it's always windy. But it seems like the last few years that they've held that tournament, the wind has lied down and guys just eat it up, mixed with a little bit of wet conditions, like you said. So, yeah,
We're leaving there this year. I can't remember off the top of my head. We're
yeah,
going to a new place in Winnipeg
yeah, yeah.
this summer.
Breezy Bend. So I got a lot of experience at that place. We could chat about that course later. But
Okay.
you guys are gonna tear that up too. Trust
Okay.
me. Yeah, they don't have anything that's gonna stop somebody from going like 26, 27 under,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah, yeah. What was your favorite stop in South America this year? You didn't do South America last year. What was your favorite stop
Man,
this year?
no, South America was an experience. I had no idea what to expect. I really, I had no idea. Never had been to South America before. When I landed in, I guess I landed in Lima, connected through Lima to get to Cordoba, Argentina the first time. I had no idea, no clue. And it was a great experience. I'm really glad that I was able to get down there and play and play at some really cool spots. As far as my favorite stop goes, I think Lima, Peru is going to be my
Awesome,
favorite.
awesome.
The weather, that was the only week where the weather was really good all
Yeah,
week. I mean, it was 73 to 75 and sunny every single day. Humidity was down, and the wind was the same intensity and from the same direction for 7 straight days. A lot of guys said it felt like we were in Southern California, and it really did. It was that kind of like being in an atrium feel out there. Golf course was great. It was in great shape. They had the weather to make it good, and the food was amazing down there as well. I'd heard, so many good things about it, and
yeah.
a good friend of mine, Hunter Wolcott, won that week, and he had a
Right.
former teammate at Tennessee who is from Lima and
Oh
played at
wow.
Tennessee, and so I was very lucky to kind of get shown around, and he brought us to some nice restaurants in Lima, and we had some really good food, and I enjoyed like going out and finding good food and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that definitely made the week a little bit more special. But yeah, Lima was a great spot, and definitely some place that I would consider going back. I want to go to Machu Picchu. It was a bummer. Lima was sandwiched between Quito, Ecuador, and Mexico City, so I wasn't able
Yeah.
to go venture out or do anything because it's like 1,000 miles away from where we were in Lima. Machu Picchu
Right.
is. But if I were to go down again, um, I think I would consider going down just with some buddies, not for a golf
Mm-hmm.
tournament, but going to see Machu Picchu, going back to Lima because I really enjoyed myself down there.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds cool. I'm gonna have to look that up. What's the state of your game like right now? You last week you played a pretty cool event, the Metropolitan Open, and you eagled the last to get into a playoff. I think went 4 or 5 holes, but unfortunately you did not win. But just curious, your the state of your game. It's obviously got to be pretty good right now.
Yeah, it feels good. So I just got back this morning, actually. I spent the last 10 or so days on the road. I started in Wichita, Kansas, doing the Monday qualifier for um, the Wichita Corn Ferry event. And
Yeah.
I played solid. I shot 5 under in the Monday, 7 under got through without a playoff. I would
Oh
have been
wow.
I think it would have been a 3 for 2 or 4 for 3 if I were to
Yeah.
have shot seven. But can never be too disappointed with 5 under. And then I wasn't going to play in the Metropolitan Open, but after I finished on Monday, I was looking at flights to go fly home. I didn't book anything. I was hoping to get through, but I had a couple teammates, Colin and BJ, are their names, and BJ was signed up to play, and he was like, "Hey, I think Colin's going to come play, and I've got an Airbnb with 2 extra rooms. Like this would be perfect." The tournament director sent out an email to some of the players saying if you guys withdrew, he's looking to fill the spots. You should call him. So I called him after I finished on Monday playing in the Corn Ferry Monday and got in super last minute. And it was an amazing decision. I'm so glad we did because, like I was saying, some of my former teammates, we got to stay in an
Yeah.
Airbnb together.
Right
It was
on.
great to see them, hang out with them, and stuff like that. And the golf course was good. Played some good golf, but yeah, it was a four-way tie at the lead. I had a one-shot lead after 2 rounds at 11
Yeah.
under, and kind of didn't really get anything going the final round. I made one birdie and one bogey through 17 holes, which wasn't quite good enough, but. Um, I made a cool eagle on 18. I had like 200 yards up a hill, but I was behind a tree in the first cut, hit a punch draw 3 wood or 3 iron, sorry. And my teammate Colin was behind the green and said that it like lipped out for a
No.
two. Yeah. So I
No.
almost made a walk off albatross, and ended up only 5 feet behind the hole, and was able to brush that in for a three. And then we went into a playoff, and Connor Godsey, a friend of mine, good player. He ended up winning.
Yep.
That was good to see. So then I went to the Monday qualifier in St. Louis for the Springfield Corn Ferry event, which I played in yesterday,
Okay.
and I played well. I shot 8 under, and there were four other people to have shot 8 under, and nobody better. And they take four spots from each course. So we were in a
Yeah.
playoff of a 5 for 4 playoff, and two guys birdied the first hole, and me and two others made par on the first hole. And
Yeah.
then we go to 11, and I made a bogey, and the other two guys made par. So I was the only one
Oh,
not to get through
man.
the playoff, which was pretty gutting. I would love to be in Springfield right now,
Yeah.
getting ready to play in a Corn Ferry event, but stayed that night and then flew home this morning. So it'll be good. I got a few days to prep for New Brunswick next week, and maybe it won't be all bad, but we'll see.
Man, that Monday Q life is tough, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
shoot 8 under and 5 under, and that's tough.
yeah. No, yesterday was tough. It was a poor bogey I made in the playoff. You just
Yeah.
it still stings a little bit, not how I wanted to finish because I played a really good round of golf, and
Obviously. Yeah.
it is what it is. It's tough out there.
Sure. Yeah. Watching you in person, I want to get to like ball speed because that's obviously a topic of conversation. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I got to think that you got to get close to 190 if you want to on the range. Can you get up to around 190 ball speed?
Yeah, highest I've ever seen on I got on a TrackMan was
Yeah.
195 point something.
Wow.
So was it
Shit.
if I'm hitting it really really hard, I can get up to I guess low to mid 90s. Typically I'll cruise upper 80s.
Really?
Kind of
Really? Wow.
86 to 90. I don't know. Every day I feel a little bit different, and sometimes I feel great and swinging it fast. I'm swinging it a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, over the last several years, my coach Adam Harrell and trainer Jason Mish, we've worked on building speed, and even my trainer at Wake Forest, David Bass is his name. He was amazing. When I committed to Wake, that was one thing. I'd met with him on my visits and stuff, but I wasn't sure about. I don't know. I just didn't really know. You never know what you're going to get into because college
Hmm.
golf training is definitely an interesting space. There are some guys that are really, kind of big and focused into the TPI sort of stuff, which I'm a believer in. And David Bass was extremely educated, and he was able to help me get quicker throughout college, which a lot of guys actually go to school, they'll work out more, but actually get slower because they're not doing it, the right way or correctly. But I was never like the longest kid in junior golf. I was maybe moderately long as a 16-year-old, but I
Yeah.
felt like from 17 to now I'm 23, I've been able to just pick up a little bit of speed, and then kind of before you know it, I graduate from school and am able to hit the ball pretty far, which is definitely an advantage.
Yeah. When I watched you last year at the Manitoba Open, you were paired with your old ACC rival, Frederick Ketcherup, and, very good player. No offense to him at all, but it just appeared to me, it was pretty evident you had like two or three different gears that he just didn't have in terms of speed and whatnot. Yeah. I wasn't expecting you to say you were cruising at 186 or 185, but that's impressive. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Freddie's great. It is nice to hit the ball far, but he won 3 times last year, so uh, you know, I'm trying to get like that.
For sure.
And he's, now playing out on live and
Yeah.
doing great. So, yeah, hitting the ball far definitely helps, and I would encourage everyone to continue to work on strength. Any junior golfer or college golfer or whatever, because it is helpful to know that you have that in there.
Yeah.
You may not always need to, swing hard, but but when you have it, or even if you're consistently 15 yards further, 20 yards further, hitting that club and a half less, over time, I feel like makes a difference.
What are your goals for this year? Obviously, you want to finish top 10, I would assume, and get to KFT as soon as you can.
Yeah, Corn Ferry status would be amazing. I got to play in my first Corn Ferry event a couple weeks ago in Raleigh.
Hmm.
Corn Ferry gave me a very gracious sponsors invite to that event, and I'm thankful for that. It was an amazing experience. I didn't play my best, missed the cut, but that was my first time playing in a Corn Ferry event, and I just couldn't believe I was blown away with how well run the event was. And definitely just makes you a little bit hungrier to try to get out there. with a full card on a consistent basis, and know you're able to play week in, week out. But yeah, my goal for this summer, I'm looking for a win. That would be great. Haven't won a multi-day tournament as a pro yet. And
Hmm.
so that's definitely something that I'm gunning for. And if I just focus on playing good golf and trying to win golf tournaments, then I hope that I'm able to play decent enough and amass enough points to get that Corn Ferry status for next year. But my team's goal really this offseason to try to do that was to make fewer bogeys. I typically make a lot of birdies and eagles. I know I don't know where I stood last year on birdie count, but I led the tour in eagle count, and distance definitely helps with that as well. But I was finding that I was making too many bogeys. I'd make a couple bogeys around, and those are killers when you need to shoot 7 or 8 to compete in some of these tournaments.
Hmm.
It's really, really hard to do if you make 3 bogeys around. You can't go out there and make 11 birdies on command, but it's a lot easier to make 7 birdies, 6 birdies, and no bogeys. So big focus on short game, just trying to clean up chipping and putting to avoid making bogeys, and hopefully that kind of gets some of my rounds to, maybe if I'm not hitting it amazing, can still salvage some decent numbers. And I think I've seen that this year. I've been happy with, I guess, the number of bogeys that I've made, but it's always a work in progress. Can always make fewer, but bogey-free rounds are really fun to do.
You mentioned your team. Who's a part of your team?
It's growing for sure, but Adam Harrell, my swing coach, been working with him since I was 12 or 13, when my dad kind of passed me on. And but my family's absolutely part of the team. Mom and dad, after a frustrating round, I will always call them and typically vent some frustration, and they'll try to give me some words of encouragement, and I'll take that in. And then I've got my trainers, Jason Mish, and at Peak Golf, he's been amazing. Been working with him for 7 years now, and they're doing some really, really cool things, and kind of just expanding on the East Coast. And it's awesome to see he's getting some more recognition and get some other really, really solid players come through his door, some tour players and Cork Ferry players and stuff like that. So that's really great. I've seen, I mean, I've seen a few short game coaches, Brad Faxon, James Seekman, over the last couple of years, and I hadn't seen either of them super recently, but I think that some of the stuff that they have taught me is definitely still instilled in me.
Yeah.
And everyone at Wake Forest, Coach Haas at Wake and David Bass at Wake, and the nutritionists that we work with, I really feel like they've all played a significant role in what success that I have had. And I'm very happy with the team that I have behind me. Oh, and also my agent and management, Terry Riley. He's been awesome. And that's another big difference, I would say, between college golf and professional golf that I forgot to mention earlier, like dealing with various sponsor obligations. That's
Right.
something you never really had to do in college
Hmm.
golf. And I really kind of enjoy doing it. I don't know, not really too sure why I do, but and Terry and Lori at Wasserman have made it easy, and it's not, I don't feel like it's overwhelming or anything like that. So they really help with scheduling and advice and that sort of thing. But yeah, I love the guys that I have around me and gals, and excited to continue working together for this next year.
Sure. Yep. Sounds like you got a good team there.
My caddy, forgot my caddy, Jeff. Can't
Was
leave him out. Yeah, he's a
okay.
friend of mine from school who's caddying for me. He started last summer, he did the
Yeah.
last 8 events in Canada with me, went down to
Right.
South America, and he'll do Canada with me again. So
Oh, right on. Cool.
it's good stuff. Yeah, it's fun.
Right on. That's great. What are your thoughts on PGA Tour Americas and the caliber of play? I've been supporting this tour for a long time, and I think we're as Canadians, we're really fortunate to see players like you, like on the upswing, so to speak, go out there at a reasonable price, buy a ticket, walk within like 10 or 15 feet of you. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on the tour in general.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm not sure. I wasn't old enough to experience what it was like prior to the Americas
Mm-hmm.
tour, when
Yeah.
Canadian tour and Latino America were separate. So maybe I'm not the best person to compare the two tours, but my experience on the Americas tour has been awesome. I have a place to play, and I think that as a professional golfer, that's one of the most important things.
Yeah.
I doing Mondays can be very rewarding, and it's definitely can be a fast track to higher level golf. But from my experience thus far, they can be also pretty frustrating. Not playing for any money, they're 18-hole shootouts. It's just tough. It's tough to go
Yeah.
travel week to week and do that. and also being able to play on a tour where I feel like I can amass points towards something
Hmm.
and, work towards a goal is huge. Different than playing in a mini tour event where you're just playing for some money. I mean, this is our job, and we need to make a little bit of money, but earning those points towards my ultimate goal of playing golf on the PGA Tour is a great opportunity that we've been
Hmm.
given, and I'm very lucky to have some status on the Americas Tour coming out of college. And it's been a great building block for me. Like last year, I was playing well at the Tour Championship with like 5 or 6 holes left. I had a 4 or 5 shot lead, and I knew if I won the tournament, then I would have finished fourth in the Fortinet Cup standings last summer, and that would have got me, some really great status on the Corn Ferry Tour, and I, would probably be playing out there right now. But I didn't win. Had a tough couple holes and didn't win, and it was very frustrating for a while after that one.
Hmm.
That was kind of the first time in professional golf where I was really, upset after a way I finished a tournament. And but all that learning experience and stuff, I try to take it well. I don't always take it well,
Yeah.
and I could always do a better job of learning from experiences like that. But being able to do that and suffer the heartbreak of I made a quad, I made a double and then a quad. It's like doing
Yeah.
that. It's tough, but I feel like I'm a better player now as a result, and that's all thanks to the Americas Tour.
And I think, like you referenced, I think the model of the tour works with PGA Tour University and getting like, star players like yourself up here playing throughout the summer. I mean, you look, Johnny Kiefer won on KFT this year, Shipley won, Riggs Johnston won on the DP World Tour,
Mm.
right? Like those are three out of the top 10 guys that have had tremendous success, right? So I think the model works. And then this year, there's more up and coming collegiate players that are gonna be members, right? You got Jackson Buchanan coming up. You got Justin Hastings, who played well at U.S. Opens. The good young players just continue to come up to this tour. So I think we're really fortunate. And Michael, like really fortunate of and appreciative of you coming on the podcast tonight. I think we're up at about 45 minutes here, so that's all that I had. But I would like to have you on again. I know the summer's gonna run by pretty quickly for you, but maybe we could have you on before the Manitoba Open in my hometown and check in on your summer.
Yeah, that sounds great. I've really enjoyed it, Brian. But yeah, I'd love to get back on and yeah, hope to see you out there in Winnipeg. That'd be awesome.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Michael. Good luck next week in New Brunswick and go get your first win.
Yeah, thanks, guys.